Good morning, Life Point Church. Welcome in for day 3. I'm excited to be with you today. As we talked about yesterday, the circumstances behind Dan's birth were a little less than perfect. In the middle of a competition between two women, this little sweet baby boy was born, Dan. It was just a few years after Dan's birth that God finally gave Rachel a son who was truly her own. His name was Joseph. But for those few years, this little boy named Dan was raised thinking that he was the light of Rachel's eyes. He was who she loved the most. He was probably spoiled by her, made a show of by her, because she was so focused on the way she looked next to her sister that she showered this little boy with love until a Joseph came along. Dan found himself immediately no longer in those high-favored graces of Rachel. Dan, the child of a household servant, could have only hoped for the position that Joseph now found himself in. Dan didn't ask to be put in this situation. He never asked to be caught in the crossfire of this ridiculous competition between these two women. He didn't desire to be pushed aside. He never asked to be forgotten when Joseph was born. He most likely felt very unimportant and unvalued. I think we have all felt a little like that a few times in our life. Even if you had the most perfect family, and I hope you did, and I hope your parents were very fair and never had perfect children that they doted on and pretended like that person never did anything wrong. But even if that was your story, and I hope it was, there's probably a moment in your life when you were passed over for someone else. You can probably clearly remember that feeling of being pushed aside by someone else who was favored more. Maybe it was a coworker who got the promotion instead of you, or maybe it was an unnoticed accomplishment that you really tried at and were really excited about, but it got lost in the light of somebody else's accomplishment. When we have situations like this, it can be easy to feel like we have no value. Our self-esteem and our confidence can be hurt, and we find ourselves feeling unimportant and forgotten. However, Dan was not forgotten by God, and neither are we. God had a purpose for that little baby who became a boy and eventually a man. God chose Dan to be born into that particular family. When even Dan didn't know what his purpose was, God knew. In Genesis 49, we've skipped several years ahead, and this young boy who was pushed away has now become a man, and he's standing at the foot of the man who fathered him, Jacob. He's standing at the foot of this man's bed because this man is dying, and he is saying the last few words of blessing over the children that he has fathered by 4 different women. Obviously, Joseph had been the favorite up to this point, and there had to be some sort of fear in Dan's mind. Will I be kicked out? Will my family be pushed away? Will I no longer be welcome here when this man dies because I'm not a biological son of a marriage? What will happen to me? What will happen to my family? Was I supposed to be here, or was I an accident? Finally, it was Dan's turn, and Jacob spoke over him this prophecy. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. This final prophetic pronouncement reaffirmed, Dan, you have purpose. While Dan was just the son of a servant girl and not truly Rachel's son, he and his offspring had a place among the children of Israel. Given his life circumstances, this was probably a lot of reassurance that Dan really, really needed to hear. His father confirmed that he had a future in the family. He would not be cast out. He would not be pushed away, but rather he would serve in a place of honor and prominence as a judge. When Jacob looked at Dan, he did not see the result of his wife's manipulation. He saw a son, and he saw potential, and he saw purpose. My friend, when God looks at you, he does not see that you were your parents' accident baby. He doesn't see that you were just the baby on the way to a sibling that's done very well and progressed in life. He doesn't see you in light of anyone else. He sees you. He sees the potential and purpose that he placed inside of you when he formed you. He chose the purpose for your life when he formed you. And that's what he sees when he looks at you. You have purpose to God, to the kingdom, to this world. There is purpose inside of you. I pray that you will walk in that confidence today. Walk in the confidence that I am not here by accident. I am not a product of my environment. I am God's. He has chosen me. He has a purpose for me. God bless you today.